Welcome to the MMHP and the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history.
Hello, Michigan music lovers. This is Scott Baker. I want to welcome you to the Michigan Music History Podcast. I am flanked by Michigan music royalty. To the left, Dr. J. To the right, Sir Fred. We cut from just around the block of the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan, here at Studio 163 in Essexville. And now it's time to grab a favorite beverage, hit the cruise, and take a trip back with us through Michigan's rich music history.
This podcast is sponsored by our friends at Electric Kitsch, located at 2106 Kosciuszko Avenue in Bay City, Michigan. And now, here's your host, Scott Baker.
Hey, we are back here at Studio 163 in Essexville. How's everybody doing? Dr. J's in the house.
Hey, great Michigan day today.
Coming off a Hell's Half a Mile popularity contest.
Wow.
Look at you, winner, chicken dinner.
Well, you know, our guest today, Steve Drzewicki, was in that movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know,
I didn't
Steve.
see it yet.
Well, you know, unfortunately, it's only shown in on festivals because Zach Neumeyer, it costs so much money to get the rights to use video and audio, you know, like recorded music, that he was able to utilize it with what's called a festival license. So that means you can't show it commercially. It can only be shown in festivals. But yeah, won 2 awards at the Hell's Half Mile Film Festival. Best Michigan Film, Best Jury Award for Best Short Documentary. And then the kicker was, it was also entered in the Detroit Free Press Film Festival, and it won Best Documentary Short in Detroit at the Detroit Film Festival.
Smelly little town.
Yeah, which is even more prestigious than the Hell's Half Mile. So, wow.
Michigan's going to grasp that bad boy. That's fantastic.
You're going to show that in the next couple of weeks here?
Well, what I'm hoping, Steve, is that Zach will give me a copy to show at the Historical Museum of Bay County. And I'm going to try to get that because we don't charge admission. So it's sort of like, you know, like showing it at a film festival. So we're going to try and show it there. But I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get it.
Did he give you the key?
Yes, he did. And yes, we have the key with Madonna's name inscribed on it. That was done by Mayor Buddha several years after the whole Madonna controversy in Bay City. But Lee Meredith, do you remember the doll in the Miller Lite commercials with Mickey Spillane? Well, you know, Bay City kind of hands out these keys in a lot of different ways, and they gave one to Mickey Spillane for just being in Bay City to promote Miller Lite beer. And so Mike Buddha, not to, you know, make sure that Lee Meredith, the doll, didn't feel left out, Mike gave her the key that he had engraved with Madonna's name on it, and it was in his desk, and he would pull it out every once in a while as a joke. But he gave it to Lee, and she has held on to it for the past maybe 20 years.
That was one
least.
of the funniest parts of that movie when they were discussing how that came about.
Right. Well, that shot of Mike Buddha with Lee Meredith is just hilarious. You know, it's the big busty guy.
Yeah. And at the
Poor
end,
Mike Buddha's just looking overwhelmed there in the picture.
He was proud to give her that.
Oh, yes. Say he looked like he was ready to give her his car keys, maybe the deed to the house, the whole
the
thing.
shirt right off his back.
That's right.
How you doing, Fred?
I'm doing real good.
Good.
Beautiful day.
Sir Fred was there. We all went down there and celebrated with Gary for the movie. And our guest today is Mr. Steve Drzewicki, the Bay City's own Polka King, legend of polka, of everything Michigan. You know, this is crazy, Steve, and I know you've been a big part of Bay City for a long time, and we'll get into you with the Madonna bit in here in a bit, but the whole reason this podcast started is because Fred reached out to the Bay City Memories page and says, does anybody have any Bay City memories about polkas? It prompted me to private message him, dude, you're going to get hammered.
Yeah.
And he did. He got hammered with 1 million people. He didn't realize the South End was jam-packed here in Bay City. That was the polka's capital pretty much of Michigan, for the most part. But I said, so what you been up to, Fred? And he goes, I moved to Essexville. And I says, no way, where are you at? He goes, right down Knight Road. I says, well, I'm right down Knight Road. Come on over. I masked up in the middle of COVID here in December. Get to Fred's house. He's got his archives in his apartment. We're chit-chatting, and I go, Gary lives right around the block here. Gary, I go way back. Yeah, I know Gary. Well, let me call him up. Let's do a podcast, because these two guys, between Fred and his blues and his world music history, and Gary and the rock and roll history, and luckily for me, I got a little journalism and musician background going. It all started because of the polka thing that Fred posted, and he asked about you and was starting to find some of your records too. So
Cool.
How you been, man?
Good.
Enjoying
it. Beautiful day today. Just enjoying everything.
Yeah, you got to love this kind of weather
Yeah.
in Michigan, don't you? I mean, it's the best.
Yeah, it is.
Tell us a little bit about your summer. Were you out playing again? Did you get to get out after the COVID?
Yeah, we're back. Some of the little festivals, that COVID got them. But all the big festivals we still played this year.
Excellent.
We probably played a dozen big festivals, big Polish festivals still out there.
Do you go out of state?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your tour. Like, what would a typical tour be put together?
Tour
Out of state and including in state.
would be like maybe take off on a Friday and hit Cleveland, and maybe hit to Pennsylvania for Saturday and hit something on the way back.
You still got a huge Pennsylvania polka.
Yeah,
thing
we usually
going on,
don't go out for just one gig anymore. Everybody's getting too old.
Oh, for sure. So it's a weekend in multiple states, and
Yeah, we don't travel like we used to because we're so busy here. There's still a lot of action in Detroit, and up north we're just up at Posen. That's a biggie, and you go over to Traverse City area. Let's see, I'm not going to remember all the places. Cedar's got a big festival, but we probably were in Detroit about 6 times this year.
excellent. I'm glad you got back out and got to get on the road. I mean, I know personally I was booked crazier than I've been in years. I think people were eating up the music while they could. They still are.
Yeah,
for the most part.
our crowd has gotten quite a bit older, so they're a little more hesitant with this virus thing.
Right.
So.
But at least the gigs were there,
The gigs were there, yeah, and the crowds were good. You wouldn't know there was any virus going on sitting in that beer tent,
Yeah. I think people are generally confident as long as it's kind of in an outdoor setting, even in a tent. It's not like being in a building.
Right.
I'm a little worried about this fall.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when it gets colder? Because you look down at Florida when that really burst big. It was in the summertime when everybody's indoors because it's too hot to be outside. In Michigan, it's just the opposite. We start going indoors when it gets too cold to be outside.
When this COVID hit, we were actually playing in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow. Because we used to go to Arizona and then sneak over to California, and then for the wintertime in January, and this thing hit like on I don't remember what day it was, but we played that weekend. And it was a nightmare trying to get home.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm reading a lot of stories about that now because the anniversary, well, not anniversary, but everybody's little interviews have finally come out a year later. And it was March 14th or something. And some still finished their gigs out for the week. Some got sent home immediately because the gigs dried up. Some couldn't get back home, had to find a way back home cross country via bus or something instead of flying.
We rented a van.
Really? It was a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. And it hit hard out there. We didn't even know what was going on. Like anybody else, we didn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We were out there having fun playing. Because all the snowbirds go out there.
Right.
And they want to bring the bands out to where they're at. So,
Sure. Steve, I noticed you've got your band shirt on and you use the famous Detroit D,
yeah.
The old English D like the Tigers. Have you always used that?
No, one of the guys in the band, his wife comes up with different shirts, and we were playing. We always played at Tiger Stadium for Polish American Night.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we wore these for.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, that's such a great D, and of course, maybe if people are Polish descent, when you hear the name Jabytsky, you're not thinking it starts with a D.
No,
You have to be from Bay City and maybe the South End to understand those spellings.
And when it comes across you wouldn't believe it how they spell it sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was a good year.
Good.
We almost bagged it, though, Because you know what happened. We said, man, we're all in our 60s now, and we thought, we've had enough. But then, boy, that itch set in again. And I actually sold all my PA gear and everything. I was that serious. And then, I went and bought on new stuff, so smaller and lighter.
Amazing. Speaking of going to snowbirds, is the wintertime in Michigan a typical time for you to break away to Florida and Arizona and all them, or
we had this long-standing thing. We'd go to Phoenix and then hop over to Palm Desert, and there was a guy over there that anyway, him and his wife just loved polka music, and the guy was in on when they invented the microchip, and he's got a couple of dollars, and he'd bring us over there. Sometimes the hall was full, sometimes nobody. You'd have free guys. What's up with this, Don? And the guy's name was Don Hatterley, great guy, and he'd say, "Oh, me and my wife just love to dance. We thought it's easier for us to bring you here,
fantastic,
than us to come over where you're at." Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was just great.
Oh man. Well, going back, give us a little bit. I want to let Fred get ripping into some questions because I'm sure Fred's got some back stuff to ask. But tell me about how it started for you, the music, and were you here basically your whole life?
Yeah.
Tell me how the itch started and how you got into it.
Well, my dad actually started this band in 1939, and my uncle was in my Uncle Stan. And then my dad went to the service, so my Uncle Stan took over the band in 41. And it would have been, 52 years ago. I was going on 14 years old, and my dad was in bad health at the time. And it was a St. Stan's picnic weekend. And he just said, "Stevie, you're going to have to go play for me today. I don't feel good." And that was my first gig with my Uncle Stan's polka band. I was messing around with some kids in school, and everything. Rock and roll stuff at high school and stuff, but that was my first gig at St. Stan's.
Really?
Yeah.
What year?
It's on that CD right there. I can't even remember. On our latest.
1969?
69.
Wow. How old were you?
I was going on 14.
Oh, fantastic.
But I was playing in the basement, so,
How old were you on this album?
That was in 81.
Oh.
So I'd have been figured out. More than 56. I was old enough. We did that at Swivels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
did
his
it at
name.
Swivels.
Fantastic. Yeah. Swivs showed me some of the pressings and stuff you guys have done over the years.
Yeah.
That's cool. No.
So Richie Jabytsky would be your cousin.
Yeah.
All right. And Stan was his dad.
Right. Richie.
Okay. Yeah, I played a lot of softball with Rich.
Yeah, Richie.
In fact, I named Broadway Richie's bar.
Yeah.
That was my name. We were playing ball, and it was my suggestion. In fact, that the dollar bill he used to have up on the wall was mine also.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Richie and I were pretty close there for a while.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cool. Small world.
Yes, indeed.
It's a small world. So I just kept it going. We just kept it going. One of the guys that's still playing with us, his dad played in the original band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the historic band is still circular and full of history.
Right. And one of my accordion players, he's been with us for 52, 53 years.
Wow.
My horn player, Gary Miller, he's been with me over 50. He started with us, too. So I got some guys who've been with us for a while. Tommy Reeder, who comes and plays with us, he's getting up there. He's 83, but he still comes out and plays. He don't have his own band anymore, but he still comes out and plays.
Yeah,
with
he
us.
was a big name in
He was big,
polka, over the years.
That's all there was. Every Saturday night, every hall was full with weddings. And what did you have? You didn't see rock and roll bands or DJs. It was polka bands.
Oh, yeah, around Bay City for sure.
Everything was a polka band.
You must have known Gene Guizdala, right?
Oh, God, yeah, Gene. Yeah, Gene was a great guy.
Yeah, when I was doing a lot of digging into the Art Shield studio.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know Gene, because he recorded there. And, very nice man. It was a real pleasure to talk to him.
His two boys played for quite a few years, Dennis and Dwayne.
Dennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got a couple of CDs by him.
Yeah, he's doing the gospel thing now.
One of them is a blues.
You know, he does a lot of gospel stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
Dennis is still playing. So yeah, we're still going. We're actually, we're doing 50th wedding anniversary, so we played their wedding.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Full circle.
You know, we played one on a Thursday a couple weeks ago on a Thursday, but that was the date they got married on. And they couldn't get the hall because of the COVID, but they wanted what they could, and they got the same band. Oh, they were just so happy.
Wow, that is great. What a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see that too often, getting the same band.
No.
50th anniversary.
Not the same guys mostly, but
Well, it's
Yeah.
still the same band.
Yeah.
so,
three of the
Still-
same guys.
Right,
Three of the
you were
same
there,
guys.
and a
Yeah.
few of the other guys, yeah.
That was crazy.
Wow. So that first gig in '69 that gave you the bug, did you say, "Hey, I'm going out every night after this," or how did it progress?
Well, I started playing with my uncle then.
Just said I'm in.
Yeah, because my dad wasn't feeling the greatest, so he just took off.
And
you
your
know?
drums?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
took his drums. I didn't even have my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just went out and at that time we were playing 2-3 nights a week.
Where were
know?
you playing? Some of the places.
Usually weddings on Friday, Saturday. Sands Bar was big. Ravenna Gardens, Golden Glow. I mean, all you had to do was just show up. The place you couldn't even get in these places.
So that was your circuit in a sense.
Week after week after week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot different. The live music scene was so vibrant around town. I mean, there were bands playing in bars.
Everywhere.
Yeah, right. You know,
Everywhere.
it was incredible.
Everywhere. I wish you had that today, but
Well, yeah, it's a whole different ballgame today, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But yeah, it was go, 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 go. You know.
How far back? When did the recordings for the Jabytsky Band start? What's the first year they got? But is it before your time? Did they
Oh,
cut
yeah.
some stuff?
Before I was born.
Oh yeah. Tell us. Do you have any memories of that, or any stories you can share of that?
No, couple 45s.
Yeah.
You know, I got them at home. I should get you one.
Yeah.
But we were
No-
basically too busy.
50s and 60s it was cut.
We were too busy.
Oh yeah,
You know, it takes time to get in the studio.
absolutely.
Where do you remember what record labels you were on?
We used our own record label.
Oh, okay.
You know, we went to Sound in Detroit. Dan Coppins. He do a lot of polka bands. So
What you mean you did, and when you recorded, or before your time?
Before my time, we used to go to Sound. I did that. I did a lot of stuff at Swivels.
Yeah, you did a lot of your stuff at
A
Swivels.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff at Swivels. Great guy.
I just wondered because Gary and Fred got such huge back knowledge of the 45 labels and where they got recorded in the state. Did you ever record at Art Shields? In
No.
Essex, or in Bay
we
City?
didn't. No.
No. Okay.
No.
I was just
No.
curious where you went.
Dan Coppins was a friend of my uncle's. You know, so that's why.
And Shield was out of the business by 1969. He had sold, and trying to think of the guy who sat in brass.
Lipinski.
Yeah, John
Johnny.
Lipinski. He operated it for a while at the old Shield house, and then he moved out to somewhere along Saginaw Bay.
Yeah, Donahue Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he had a studio in his,
Right.
in his front room.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Everybody would come in his front room and sit down and play. You know, that's before we had all the computers and everything.
Yeah,
So
real to real.
you couldn't make too many. You couldn't make mistakes because it was, you know, you had to have what you were doing.
Right.
You can't go over and fix your sour notes and stuff like you can now. You know, if you're a little sharp or a little flat, you know, they tweak it on a computer so you're right on pitch.
Oh yeah, incredible. So, what was your first year of recording then?
81, right there.
That is your first record
Yeah.
then. What's the name of that record there, Fred?
Finally, it's here.
Featuring Polka Stan. Oh. Finally, it's here.
Yeah, that's when I first officially took over the band.
That same year.
Yeah.
So did you stop touring or stop playing for a little bit, book time, or did you just throw it in the
We
mix?
Swivels right in town, so
Yeah,
we
right.
just went over to Swivels. I was actually doing some weekday stuff with Swivel and Billy D. Michaels. We were doing 5 nights a week and then doing our own things on the weekends. So I knew Swivel my whole life, and we just ended up at Swivels
Cool.
with the old 8-track
Yeah.
tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, was that Stan Javytsky that was on that?
That's my uncle Stan.
Okay.
So, did you write a lot of these songs?
I'd have to look through. You know,
Because they say, some say your name, and then some say.
Yeah, I wrote
S.
a few that would have been my Uncle Stan.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually when you do a Polish recording, you don't want to do a lot of originals because people still like the standards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just it's like the Pretty Woman. You know what I mean? You gotta play it every night, otherwise they'll kill you.
Yeah.
So we put some standard, and if you got a lot of good stuff, then you just do 2 recordings. But them days are over with too, because you don't sell CDs anymore.
Right.
You know, I got 1,000 of them sitting in my bedroom.
I know what you mean.
Nobody buys them.
I know.
And
I do.
Us old guys do.
Yes, I confess I still buy them
I
too.
put my last one out, and it was like a week before St. Stan's 3 years ago. And a guy come up to me at St. Stan's and said, "Hey, I just love your new CD." I said, "Well, where did you get it?" "Well, my daughter got it, and she put it online." So they all downloaded it. What are you going to do?
Yeah. What a way to find out. Jeez.
But
That happens.
I'll tell you a story, though. We were playing at Auburn, at the Auburn Corn Festival. And for a joke, I was going through the basement, and I had a box of 8-tracks left. And I says, "Well, we got CDs and albums and 8-track tapes." And some lady, she just ran right to the stage because she still got an 8-track player in her own car.
Oh
That
my
is
God.
cool. What year was that?
That was like 3-4 years ago.
Excellent.
I did it as a joke. We got 8-tracks,
Wow.
And when we're out playing, I'll put them in front of the stage. People get a kick out of
Oh,
it.
sure.
There you go, Fred, for your collection. You got to get one of them 8-tracks.
8-tracks. Yeah, I got some 8-tracks.
Fred goes all the way back to wire recordings in the BC there. So
Oh, yeah.
he's got a lot of the old archives. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's been a long ride. Did radio for a lot of years.
Yeah.
That was popular, too.
What was the station again?
I started off at WBCM. You guys remember WBCM?
Sure. Certainly.
Eric Gila.
Yeah. And then ended up at WXOX for a while.
Is that WBCM? Is that where Stan Jabytsky did his show?
Yeah, him and Cherry Chet.
Okay.
They were popular.
Right. I think that's where Richie, wasn't he like Polka Richie?
Yeah.
When he was a little kid. I don't know, Stan brought him on the show or something, or was talking about him.
Well, back then, no matter what your name was, you were Polka Joe, Polka Bob, whatever.
Right.
We were on KCQ, actually, in the 70s. That was, Then TRK were on there. I still do some stuff at WSAM,
Excellent. Sunday morning shows? Or
Yeah, the traditional.
I know that I flip through on Sunday morning sometimes and you can catch some polka shows.
Yeah.
I get that on Facebook. Somebody will put it on there. They'll say, "This is Sunday morning polka."
Yeah.
Is that your show?
Well, there's 4 or 5 guys that do it, that rotate,
Okay.
because of schedules. And then you get a little different, people playing different stuff. But, yeah, I did radio, 35 years. That was a tradition. Sunday morning, you got out and did the radio show, no matter what time you got in Saturday. And if you weren't going to make it, you taped it. You never told anybody. They didn't know.
Yeah, right. Pre-tape it. Yeah. Right. You get to play with Gary Taylor over the years?
Oh, yeah. Years ago.
He was my dad's best friend, and they grew up together playing clarinet. And Gary took off, obviously. That was my first show, was seeing a polka show that he was in, probably when I was 3 or something, at St. John's here in Essexville.
Yeah.
Well, now it's something else, but St. John's Church it was back then.
Yeah,
And,
they used to have a nice festival.
I remember going to see Gary and sitting back by the trumpet player, and he'd come after me, shake my hand, show me his saxophone, his clarinet.
Okay, he had trouble with his hearing. He had to get out.
Yeah. I actually got to, over COVID, I remastered one of the records he had.
Was that with the Happy Nights?
What was the other band he was in before he went solo?
Oh, boy.
I can't think of it offhand, but he had me raise the bass levels on it, because when it was originally put on CD off of vinyl, somebody did a real thin version of it, and he's like, "You put this in your Pro Tools and beef it up." And I told him I'd do that, and it took me a few years, but I had time during COVID, so I went and worked on it for him, and he took it to one of your local shows here, and they started playing tracks off from it again. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. He told me,
So
thank me for it.
Yeah, we did some recording during the COVID. We don't have it out yet, though.
Good. More new material
We're
coming.
still arguing about the mix.
As usual. Every band. Well, that's cool. You guys are keeping busy then.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be because, the kids, the tradition, the kids don't see the tradition like we've seen it, but it's still there. It's still there.
When you say that, tell me exactly what you're thinking. Like, you mean the modern day polka bands are different, or the kids coming into the band, or?
No, the kids that used to go when we play dances, we had a real mixed crowd. A lot of younger people dancing, and now you don't see a lot of younger people dancing. Number one, they don't know how to dance.
True.
Polka. So I remember when I grew up, there was 5 boys in their family, and I think my mom's main goal in life was to teach us all how to polka, how to dance. And I still love going out dancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big thing. My grandparents, both sides, they enjoyed watching it on TV. Or apparently, I had my dad's grandma or mom and dad, my grandma and grandpa. They were going out to all the fests around the state and danced. I did not know that till the very end.
It's a lost. That's all we used to do. Go out dancing.
Yeah, I think kids in general aren't dancing to any type of music right now.
Their thumbs are busy.
It's not polka. Well, it's not, music is not the social gathering force that it was, I think, when all of us were growing up. I think, if you're a polka fan, all the people there enjoy polka and they're going out to those dances. And it used to be in rock and roll dances, they were more like top 40, and everybody knew the songs and, there was a lot of dancing going on. And now it's way different, with everybody with individual
we used to go out dancing.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what. No agenda. Let's go dancing somewhere.
Sure.
Well,
there were dances all over the place.
Everywhere.
When we were growing up, it's, are there dances for young people anymore? I don't know if they even have them.
No, I think that went by the way of roller skating.
Yeah.
All that,
Well, you take off on a Saturday night, you couldn't hit all the places that had bands.
All right.
Before you went home.
And they usually had a dance floor too.
Yeah, a nice dance floor.
Right.
I was at a wedding. We were playing a wedding, and this is maybe a good example, maybe not. But I got a kid that's 36, and he was there with his girlfriend, and he said, "Dad, why are you guys playing that slow stuff?" I said, "What's wrong with you kids today? She's got all dressed up. She smells like $1,000,000. Go grab a hold of her and get on the dance floor and do some dancing."
Yeah, well, that was your chance, to get up close and personal with that young lady that you had your eye on, for sure.
He kind of looked at me like, "What's wrong? What you're missing here?" And then I said, "Why is it so important you guys got to dance with your drinks on the floor?" And he says, "Because nobody leaves their drink at the table, so nobody puts nothing in it."
Well, there's that too.
Huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that a shame?
Wow. Yeah.
So,
Damn.
Wow.
It's a different world today.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And the appreciation for the ballad, I think, is also not ever going to return. I mean, it's been a long time. Even ballads to the metal 80s, people should slow dance to them. All of a sudden in the 90s, it was like nobody wanted ballads. It was all speed, fast paced, different kind of stuff. And then watching people on stage act out the music instead of actual musicians, doing their thing,
Yeah, you're a musician.
Yeah.
You see some pretty crazy stuff from stage.
Yeah.
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 All about the show you go see as opposed to the music you listen to, in a sense. So
I always say this is a family event. Hands above the waist, guys,
that's great.
It's just a different world.
It is. What you got over there, Fred? You had some great polka questions back when you were asking them on Bay City on the page there. What do you got for Steve?
Well, he answered quite a few of them already.
Well,
What about Frankenmuth? Is there a difference between like the German and
It's a different style.
Oh, okay.
It's a different style. They don't use horns like we use horns. Marv Herzog was the king.
Right.
He had that quarter box. He was a phenomenon. You know what I mean? He just was. And it's a little slower tempo, and it's we call it push in our Polish because the accordions and bellows shaking, and we're pushing, we're playing, and theirs is a little more laid back, But they're still mostly German there. They like their German, just like we do our Polish here. You know, they have the Bavarian Festival, and they'll have bands that play a lot of German music. Not a big difference.
There's been a on public television a weekly thing on polka, but they call it Dutch something, and it's the main instrument or the main lead instrument is a person on the dulcimer.
Dulcimer, yeah.
And they're basically from Germany and Russia.
Yeah. You see a little bit of that, but not around here. I don't see it. We go play festivals and we don't see it.
Okay.
But we play the Polish festivals. You know, if you went to a German festival or what do they call them now, Oktoberfest, you know, you'd see the German style.
Did you ever hear of a group? They're kind of like a punk polka band, Brave Combo.
Oh, yeah.
I love that band.
Yeah.
I've been to Chicago 4 or 5 times to see them.
Oh, yeah. They're a good band. Yeah, I've seen them guys. Brave Combo. I don't know if they're playing anymore. I haven't heard anything about them.
Right. Well, they don't come up north very often. They're from Texas.
No, I haven't seen them in a while. But there's another band, I can't think of the name, that'll come up with it. They do some, a lot of young guys, they do some progressive stuff. And they do it to a polka tempo. The older folks kind of, but it's good material.
You're watching the musicianship as opposed to the tradition.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And when you say like Frankenmuth, the German style, is that more push button box and Polish is more horns
And accordions.
and accordions?
Yeah.
Okay. I never knew that. That's fantastic to learn tonight.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's no big deal. And then you go towards the Owosso area and you see a lot of Czech stuff. You know, Czech that's where a lot of them people are from. And that's all button box.
Button box.
Button box.
All right.
And yeah, when you get in Detroit, it's still Polish style.
When I first moved back up here, my brother said he was going to go have a beer at Center Road
Bar. Yeah.
In a real bar.
And so I said, oh, okay, I'll go over there. And there was a polka band there with horns. Something Brothers.
Yeah, the Kowalski brothers.
That's it.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the horn section was tremendous.
Yeah, Kowalski brothers. Yeah. I know them guys. I ran with them all. We all ran together. You know what I mean? One time or another. You know, you need somebody for a Saturday night and his band ain't playing, so he's on stage with you and, you know.
Well, you yourself are in the Polka Hall of Fame here.
Yeah.
Who have you come across in your journey since '69 since you've been playing out that just blew your mind?
Toby Keith.
Polka?
No, he came into a place we were playing.
Oh.
A dance.
I meant polka music, but that's funny.
Polka music. All the big boys.
You know, have you come across you guys?
Myron Florin.
Yeah.
Worked with Myron Florin. Frankie Yankovic. You know.
You got to see all of them and play, share the bills, and
shared the stage with them and everything. Jimmy Sturr.
Wow.
I was just
Eddie
going to
B.
mention him. Yeah.
Eddie B was the best though.
Eddie B.
Eddie Blazonczyk.
Oh.
He was the king. He just had it.
They did a movie on him, didn't they?
No, they did it on Jan Lebon.
That's who it was. Yes.
He's the guy that did the Ponzi scheme on all the immigrants.
In Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I watched that movie.
He got a lot of them in Hamtramck too.
Did he?
You don't say his name down there.
Oof.
So is Eddie played the Polish style?
Yeah, Eddie was. Yeah,
Okay.
Eddie was Eddie. He had like 30 albums out. Could never keep him on stage.
Did you ever get into the Mexican bands that, you know, were definitely heavily influenced by polka music? I think that's the Tex-Mex.
German.
Yeah, the German.
No, never got into. Never. We pretty much stayed with our traditional stuff.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, because I read that when the Czechs and the Germans moved down to Texas with the accordion, they greatly influenced Tejano music.
Right, they influenced or they introduced the accordion, right? Yeah.
I seen a guy last week, Champ, playing a button box with his brother, I think. But it was a good Spanish band. Good. I loved that music. Because it's so similar, but they use some crazy chord structures. You know what I mean?
Mix it up.
But they're still singing, you know, in Spanish, traditional stuff. And I love the traditional stuff, you know.
Where'd you see that at?
There was a party down the street. They played somebody's birthday.
Here in Bay City?
And I heard them, and I went down there and sat on the other side of the fence. And
Fantastic.
Frankie Lopez was there, and he said, "Come on in and listen to us." So, yeah, I just, I love live music.
Oh, yeah.
But, because you don't see it, We even go to festivals, and people ask for things other than Polish. You know what I mean? Younger crowd and stuff. I say, man, if you want to hear rock and roll, you can go to rock and... You want to hear Polish music, you come to a Polish festival, right?
Right.
So you play Polish music.
They're looking for covers of rock music done polka style?
Yeah.
Wow.
People come up and ask us if we know any 9 Inch Nails. Now, do we look like we know any 9 Inch Nails?
Brave Combo does a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do. They do. So
they'll do a polka and reggae.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're trying to keep it alive.
Your tradition.
As long as we can. We're the last bunch. But I just grabbed a 18-year-old horn player from Midland. In fact, Tommy Reeder, that's his grandson.
Wow.
He's a good horn player, and he can sing in Polish real well. And I grabbed a 20-year-old Mark Jagorczyk from Beaver, who plays accordion, and he sings his Polish very well. So there's a few young guys out there yet.
Well, they may bring in a younger crowd, too.
But they do. They do.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good that they're still young blood.
Yeah, because my accordion player, he's 74. He sits on a seat all day, because he can't hold that accordion up all night anymore.
If you ever need a washboard player, I'm available.
Who did I see had a washboard? Oh, Jimmy Buffett had a washboard player last week.
I've been playing for 55 years.
Washboard specialist.
I didn't realize you were looking for a gig, Fred.
Oh, yeah.
You got the little symbol on it and everything, too?
No, I used to, when I started out, I like the traditional, just a washboard.
Just a washboard, man.
And I had one made for myself.
Yeah, I think Larry told me you asked him if he wanted some washboards sitting in with him, too, after that show, I remember. No, that's one.
How about the spoons?
No. I have them, but no, I'm just a traditional washboard player. That's doing it all since the 60s. I've been all over the world.
Playing a washboard.
Yeah.
Cool. And no spoons.
No.
Remember the spoons?
My dad was going to try to get me in with Marv Herzog, but it never had. He died.
A guy that I worked with in Essexville, Max Galbraith, could really play the spoons.
Oh, God.
Every once in a while, Max got enough drinks. He would take out the spoons. He would.
Wow.
He would make you stand up and take notice. I'll tell you.
He'd go in the kitchen
really
and get
good.
the spoons.
Yeah, that's right.
At a wedding, they go get in the kitchen and get all the spoons.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by our friends at Electric Kitsch, located at 2106 Kosciuszko Avenue in Bay City, Michigan. They offer new and used records, including local to Michigan original vinyl and CDs, as well as clothing, electronic equipment, funky household items, music gear, and stringed instrument repair. You can find them on the web or call 989-402-1411.
Fred used to tour with Lazy Lester, get the blues thing going, so he was on stage a lot with some of the blues artists over there and went in Europe. And you've ran record stores. You've played with a lot of people from Ann Arbor up here. So Fred got around on the Ritz scene per se. And then what was you're writing a chapter in your current book on polka, right?
Right.
So that's what brought us to why we met.
All the ones that he mentioned, they're the ones that I'm writing about. Tommy Reeder, you,
Gene Guazzella, John Lipinski,
Perry
Gary Taylor, Jim Lepeque.
There's
Lepeque.
another one.
Jets Who, Gary Taylor, Jim Lepeque. That's the CD I redid.
Yeah, Jim Lepeque.
Another gal.
Starliners. That was it.
Sent me some photos of a real old band. Now, I can't think of his name though.
Tony Kaczmarek.
That could be it.
Tony Kaczmarek. Yeah.
Only because I have a lot of photos.
There was a lot of polka bands around at one time.
I remember walking through Krizak's, and they're not all still up there. And I was telling this to either Gary or Fred a little while back, but
right.
Used to walk through Krizak's 4 or 5 years ago, and it was plastered with polka.
They still have a few.
Yeah, and I remember seeing Gary in a lot of the photos and thinking, dang, this is like the Hall of Fame itself in here, all these photos,
Yeah, they have actually all the ones that they have at the Hall of Fame. They got their dance this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Their Hall of Fame dance. They skipped last year, but they got it this weekend.
Good.
Really?
It's down in Owosso.
Steve, where is the Polka Hall of Fame?
In Owosso.
Do they have a building or?
It's actually in a section of a hall, the ZCBJ Hall.
All right.
It's actually a Czech community. But
is there a website also that goes along with it? Have they?
I've looked it up.
I don't think
I can't
so.
find it. No.
You know, really, they should do that. I mean, you know, that's how you get the information out now. You almost have to be on the internet.
The folks that have ran it for years just are all passing. You know what I mean?
Maybe
And there's a new bunch, and they'll probably get to that.
Yeah, that's an important thing. You know, that way you get that information out there, and yeah.
Speaking of websites, that's kind of how Gary, and I'm assuming the new movie about Smelly Little Town that we started the show with, like you both are in that movie. He found Gary's website, rockandrolllegends.com, and now Gary's running the Hall of Fame, and he's going to put it in Bay City here.
Oh.
So, and how did you get tied up into the Madonna movie too?
He called me.
He called you? Is he an old friend of yours?
He got my name from somebody.
Yeah.
He called us because, about what was going on. He came over to St. Stan's, and I gotta be able to see it. Did he have a clip when the fan was all the people were all standing in front of the band and they yelled something to Madonna?
I don't remember that part. I do remember everybody dancing though, and you playing and ripping, and then you speaking, and he's showing people walking around and polka and stuff. That was all I recall from that part.
Yeah, there was.
It kicked off the movie, didn't it?
Yeah, I started out with dancing, listening to your band, and then there was an interview with you, and I think you were doing a drum solo or something, and the fans were excited about that, and it was a nice little sequence. And then at the end of the movie, they went back to the St. Stan's picnic.
It's pretty cool how he turned that.
Yeah. He really did a good job on it. He's a professional film editor and TV show editor, and so he's very good at keeping things real tight. I noticed when I saw a lot of movies at Hell's Half Mile, and that's the one thing I noticed about the films is a lot of them needed to be edited a little bit. They were going on a little bit too long, or scenes were going on a little bit too long. But Zach, that's his forte.
Zach Neumeier, right?
Yeah.
I lost his number. I was going to call him and see where it was, and then somebody said with this Hell's Half Mile they might show it there, so I don't know.
Yeah, it opened the festival. It was on opening night. Yeah, but
that was the
only time. Yeah, it was the only time they showed it. I thought since it was about Bay City that they might show it a second time. Yeah. Once the word kind of got out. But I don't know. I think they had so many films because it was canceled last year because of COVID. That
I thought it started in October.
It's always the last weekend in September.
So I missed it.
Yeah. So sometimes depending on. Where things fall, it could be like it could have been last or next weekend if
I'll get Mark's number from one of you guys before I leave. So
yeah, I've got Zach's number too. I don't have my phone with me, but I'd be happy to give it to you. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, really was. Well, I got to ask you here, Steve. You mentioned knowing I don't want to put words in your mouth. Something along the lines of we wouldn't forget that she called Bay City a stinky little town. Just curious here because this is kind of what the crux of the movie was. Where did you learn that Madonna insulted the city?
I think it was probably in the paper. That was a big story back then.
Well, exactly right. You probably don't know, however, that there was a lot of mistakes in that particular story that the Bay City Times printed, and they took her words out of context, and it really wasn't an insult at all. And you can see that because now the entire interview is available on YouTube.
Okay.
The whole thing. And it's very eye-opening because, when you read that editorial that was on the front page of the Bay City Times, it made it seem like Madonna was angry and that she was lashing out because...
That was a big story at the time.
I know it. Yeah, it was a real big deal, lashing out because she didn't get the key to the city. and all that was false.
I
That
even
never
got one of
happened.
them.
Yeah. You got a key
I
to the
even
city?
got one of them, yeah.
Well, wow. How about that?
Don't open anything, but I got one.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Looks good on the wall.
Well, who presented you with the key?
I think it was Ann Hatchell.
All right.
That was a long time ago.
Well, that's awesome.
What year?
Don't ask me.
And this was just because, you know,
We used
your
to-
band was very successful.
We
and
used to do a lot of things for I think it was the Ricker Center, handicapped children. We used to do a lot of fundraisers for them, and we'd have them at Casey Hall, and they were going to have a benefit for the place, so they'd book it for a Friday, and the next thing they know, they got enough tickets to have it Saturday too, and the next thing you know, they sold enough tickets to have it Sunday. We did that once a year, yeah.
Well, that's how the Burdens got their key to the city.
Yeah.
They had did a benefit for, I don't remember exactly which organization it was in Bay City, but Tim Sullivan, who was the mayor then and the mayor that really kind of started the whole Madonna controversy rolling, he presented them with the key to the city when that was actually the night they were releasing their album. Do you know the Burdens? Any of that, Scott?
I know who they are. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing it's got, and you can relate to this. Playing in a band, you don't get out to hear at bands because you're playing.
Oh, right.
And if you got a night off, I don't know if I want to go hear a band. I just heard mine for you know what I mean?
It's true. You want to go home and crash.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you played the Sandbar. Well, one of the Burdens, Scott Causley, who was the drummer in the Burdens, he's the one who bought the old Sandbar and, completely renovated it. And right now, it's really the only bar in town that's really got a nice dance floor and a nice stage. So Scott's really, he's done a good job. It's more like a blues rock bar, but didn't you say there was some polka in there, Fred?
Yeah, those brothers.
When they started, they
They played there.
Yeah, but I mean, just recently, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on a Sunday.
Yeah, I run with an 8-piece band, so you probably ain't gonna get enough people in there to pay us.
Yeah.
It's just the truth.
Well, right.
I run with an 8-piece band, so
But at least that's a stage big enough you could probably get
That's
a band
true,
down there. Yeah, there's not many of those in town.
You'd be kind of cool though. Just getting a show put together with the Burdens and you guys over there.
Yeah, we
call it the Key to the City.
The Key to the City concert.
Concert
right?
weekend.
Yeah.
Promote the shit out of it, and you got Bay City's two of Bay City's biggest things
Yeah,
coming
they've
out of the
been around-
70s and 80s.
they've been around forever too.
Oh, yeah.
80. And so, well, they started in the 70s, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, before we go, Steve, you gotta watch that Madonna interview on the Today Show. It's an eye opener because all these years, so many people believe that she insulted the city, and it was not the case at all. It was her words taken out of context by the Bay City Times, and
I'll
we
check it out.
definitely do that.
I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I
not a
can
tech guy.
I can forward the link to your text, and you can open it up in there if you got YouTube on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part where she talks about Bay City is about 11 minutes into it. And, she talked about, she remembered Bay City fondly. She wasn't insulting. She was talking about the Dow Chemical plant that used to be off Patterson Road there and had a very distinct chemical odor to the Banks area. It was, a lot of people think she was talking about the sugar plant, but that was Dow Chemical.
It's wild how he did that in the movie because he let the people talk and they started out with the sugar plant, but then he went in and thankfully you're in the middle. Gary kind of narrates throughout the whole movie on a writing trip. Okay. And Gary pops on, no, there's, the Patterson Road, Dow Chemical, and then they go through that whole part in the movie. It's kind of cool. It's an eye opener how they brought it to life.
Well, and the way he did it, it wasn't pointing fingers at anybody or anything like that. It was just done very even-handedly.
Yeah, tastefully. Well, the guys were
it
saying,
was really cool.
well, this town is stinky. She was right. She didn't lie. And that was great how they led
That
into
was
that.
Mike
You know?
Buddha.
It kind of smells right now.
But that was like big. This big star insulted us. Big city.
Oh, yeah.
And that was how it was written right out of Bay City Times as opposed to the actual truth.
That was, I can remember there was like an uproar.
Well, and again, it was because where do you get your news? Back in those days, everybody got their news from the Bay City Times.
Yeah.
I mean, every house on every block basically got the Bay City Times. You didn't have the 24/7 news. You didn't have all these entertainment programs recycling everything. So if you didn't see the interview, which I would conservatively estimate that probably 99% of Bay City didn't, because it was in the morning on a work day. Nobody saw it. No internet where you could see it again. And so everybody got the information from that editorial. And boy, they did a hatchet job on Madonna. It's hard to understand why they did it even. I mean,
you'd want to twist it positively to try to.
Well, she was talking about how much she liked Bay City, and then they turned it right around into an insult. And Bay City's really lost out on a lot of, I think, a lot of money. Tourist money. This Madonna thing could have been used to really help the town economically.
Yeah. He should have came back and did a concert at the Shell.
Well, that was being discussed. What threw a monkey wrench into it, Sullivan wanted to present her with the key, and at that point, it might have even been possible for Madonna to come down, because she was, just kind of really taking off at this point. But what soured it was Playboy and Penthouse magazine got a hold of some nude photos that she had posed for 6 years earlier when she needed the money in New York City and so on. And so as soon as that came out, Sullivan turns tail, and no, we can't give her the key because, she posed nude and everything. See, Tom, really, Tim Sullivan, he should have just defended her. I mean, everybody was going after Madonna, right and left, because she had posed in these nude pictures. And that had nothing to do with the way he, for what he wanted to give her the key. He wanted to give her the key for what she had achieved musically. The nude pictures had nothing to do with that.
I wonder if we could still get her to play here.
Yeah, we don't have anything big enough for that. But,
ironically, she played the very next night in Pontiac after that interview. And she apologized in the show. We'll talk about it in the movie, too. Yeah. How she did the Jane Pauley interview. Night later, she's like in Pontiac going, "That's not what I meant,"
Yeah.
I don't know. We might be able to get her at the Shell. That'd be a fun night one day.
Well, man. Yeah. I don't know.
That'd be off the hook.
That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's she played at headline Tiger Stadium right now. Is that where they'd put her if she came and played the state?
Last time I actually got to see her once. We went to see her, was at Joe Louis.
Okay. So, and the Palace is tore down now.
Yeah.
So
we
were at Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
We played there.
Yeah.
Few times.
Many times.
An old Tiger Stadium.
No, that's when they came back to the new one. Yeah.
Oh, America.
I didn't know if you got to play them both.
And then there's Ford Field too. Another possibility.
A nightmare.
Really?
Playing at Comerica Park.
Echo nightmare.
No security.
Really?
Security. You got to get there early. They go through everything that we're not hauling bombs in, and security's crazy.
Wow.
I was going to go 3 or 4 years to that polka night there, or polka day, I can't remember what happened. No, I didn't go, but.
How was the sound at Comerica, Steve? Was it?
Well, we were in certain sections at the gates when people came in.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have to play out in the
right.
whole
We took
field
our own
or
sound.
something.
We took our own sound. Yeah. Because it's tough finding a good sound guy with a polka band.
Is this annual?
There's a different. It was up till COVID hit. Yeah.
So not this year then.
No, they'll probably bring it back because it brought a lot of people in.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they usually had it at an off night, so we'd get the people in the stands.
Of all your shows, what one are you the most proud of, or what two or something?
Where we played?
Of all the shows you've done, like there had to be something that just touched your heart that you never.
I'll tell you, the highlight of my year is still playing at St. Stan's
every year.
Yeah, it's a true Polish festival.
That's great.
We go to the Pierogi Festival in Detroit. That's right outside of Hamtramck. We do that every year. They even had it last year in the COVID. And that's a biggie. There's 8,000-10,000 people, and over there, a lot of people are still speaking Polish. They haven't been here that long, and they'll dance 3 o'clock in the morning. Sheriffs go over there. You guys got to knock this off. We're outside the tent. And they'll just dance and dance and dance and dance.
Wow.
You know, that's a good time.
That's awesome. So where you got your starts, where's your heart still is at? That's your favorite.
Well, this is our backyard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
We know everybody there, and they all know us, and we're like probably like the dance floor. You know, we're just a tradition there.
And, you know, St. Stan's, of all the festivals in Bay County, I mean, that's the big one. That's the one that I think is been the strongest over the years. You know, festivals come and go, but St. Stan's, that's...
And they try to keep it, you know, Polish.
Right.
Roots, you know what I mean? And they try to keep it there. And I still love playing there.
Well, that kind of kicks off summer in Bay City because there's always the week before the River War, if the River War happened, then you had the 4th of July and it rolled from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's always the thing that kicks summer off. Kids are just out of school 2 weeks before that. Boom.
Yeah,
or a week before, you
The
know.
St. Stan's beer tent.
Yeah.
That is-
Oh, God, yeah. It's hard to describe.
Well, you're right. You see people you haven't seen in years.
It's like a class
and
reunion.
It is, yes.
You know, everybody comes.
Right.
It's a great time. Even this mud this year we had,
Yeah.
it was horrible. Rained for 4 days.
We didn't even take the kids down to the events because of the mud. It was like, no, we're not. We've been in the mud, but they're down there before. It was like, wow.
The crowds were bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, on Sunday morning we had to play because we do a Polish mass too inside the tent. Okay, so they call it a heritage mass, and they don't say beer tent; they say the big tent. Okay, sounds
That's
better.
right. Can't say beer tent on Sunday, right?
And so the place, you know, dried up. The sun was shining, and there's a big spot between the stage and the bathrooms, and everybody was running. You know, they run the bathroom in that rain. I couldn't count how many shoes were stuck in the mud from the weekend. People running across there. But they were there. They were there. It was unbelievable, the crowds
Beautiful.
in that mud.
Do you still get inspired? I mean, you said you were writing over COVID. Do you still write music, or is this just conjuring up old covers?
No, we got a few new tunes we're going to pump out.
Yeah.
You know?
How does that start for you? How does your writing process work? All up there?
Yeah.
Because I mean, being a drummer, do you chart stuff for you guys, or?
No, I don't know. It just comes in my head. On that Polka Shoes one, we got some originals on there.
Polka Shoes CD?
Yeah. We took the spin off I want to put on my boogie shoes.
Yeah.
I want to put on my polka shoes.
There you go.
We get airplay on that all over the place. You know, now it's the internet. IJs, you know, we get a lot of airplay on
Yeah.
that.
How do you transfer your ideas to the rest of the band? You know, being a drummer.
Yeah.
How does that? Do you hum it out to them, or?
Well, one of my main guys, this Gary Miller's been with me forever. If I hum something on a phone and send it to him, he'll have it written out the next day.
Oh, okay.
He'll write everybody's parts out. We don't always read, but the horn players need parts. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he'll write the accordion keys. He'll just write it all out. You know, then we'll sit down and say, let's put this chord in. You know.
I wonder how that worked for you. Being a drummer, I mean, there's some drummers that do write some music and are writing it, but you dictate it to one of your musicians and he puts it out to the
He
band.
just loves doing it.
It's fantastic.
You know, he just loves to do it.
Wow.
Writing out the parts and, you know, then we'll just nibble away at it and go out and try it a little bit.
Have you recorded your last few CDs with Swiv still, or where are you doing it now?
I actually put the basics down right at my house.
Okay.
You
Got
know,
your own home
you
studio.
get by recorders.
Absolutely.
And then once we got the basics down, I took it over to Swivels and he cleaned it all up for us.
Wonderful.
Fixed all them harps, fixed all the vocal notes, you know. You're a little flat on that one.
Yeah, auto-tune.
Oh,
I see on this Polka Shoes you do an old rhythm and blues song or old country. Don't roll those bloodshot eyes.
God,
at
what a
me.
great tune, yeah.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fred, who did the original here? You or
Well,
historian?
here it
It's
said it
written
was,
on there.
it's written by Hank Penny, who's actually a country guy. So,
Well, that sounds like a country title, you know.
well, a lot of people have done it. I remember, but I can't remember the R&B guy that did it.
Okay.
But that
Have
was
to
a big
YouTube
R&B hit.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to research and put the credits on who did write them when we do that stuff. And that gets a lot of airplay on the internet. Don't roll your bloodshot eyes at me.
Let's go.
And the one on there, Grandma's Waltz, which does this real well.
Okay.
Actually, we had to play it was my mom had died, and we had to play that night. And we went, it was at the old Regal Center, where Regal Hall where Gilroy's is now, Rivette's place. And we went there early to set up, and we just started, messing around with, how my ma liked to dance and everything, and blah, blah, blah. That's how that song came about.
Wow. Steve, what is an obelisk?
It's a fast waltz.
Okay, that I remembered one of Gene Guizdala's recordings was Grandma's Obelisk. Yeah,
Grandma's Obelisk.
Oh, okay.
We still play that today.
All right. Okay, I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Obelisk.
Obelisk. Okay.
But since ours Obelisk.
Okay.
There's about 3 of them title with that word in it on that Gary Taylor CD that I did.
Yeah, Obelisks.
Yeah, tons of them.
People like Obelisks. They like dancing Obelisks.
All right.
But we still play Grandma's Obelisk almost every night. It's just that one of them traditional. It's like, like the Wonderful Tonight.
Yeah, or Brown Eyed Girl.
You just got to play them tunes.
Right. Got you.
You know what I mean?
All right. So that's the fast polka
It's
number.
a fast polka, yeah.
Okay. Right. All right. I got you.
Speaking of
Fast waltz. I'm sorry. It's a 2-3 time.
of all these places that you've been mentioning and stuff, do you enjoy Polish food still? Are you a Polish foodie?
Yeah.
Okay, talk about some Polish food and some recipes. We've never tackled that here, and you probably have the key on some good stuff.
Pierogies.
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 Yes.
You can't beat the gołąbkis. They call pigs in a blanket.
Mm-hmm. 2 of my wife's favorites, those 2 right there.
Some gals can make it, but some of the older Polish gals. My favorite is city chicken. It's pork and veal on a stick, and then they bread it in egg and a few other things, and then fry it up and bake it. Yeah, city chicken.
City chicken. I'll be damned. Wow.
Yep.
I was down in, I played the Hamtramck Music Festival this year. I had a date down there and going through right around the blocks, the big Polish little house that cooks food, and the line's out into the road across the street. And I'm like, Julie, my wife, I'm like, we got to come back down here when we get in here someday and try the food out.
Yeah. Get some city chicken.
City chicken.
Oh, man.
I'll be damned.
That's the best.
That sounds pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
can we order out, get some in here?
Next time you come on the show when you release your record or something, we're gonna have to make sure city chicken's on the menu.
City chicken.
Yeah.
They had some. This winter, I don't know what. Somebody brought in a bunch of Polish trucks at the Masonic, and you could order ahead of time, and it were Polish, caterers from Detroit came up here.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And they had 2 days of that. And they had a ton of Polish food.
Were they playing in the the classic Masonic Hall, the one?
No, it was just the food trucks.
Oh, okay.
It was just the food trucks.
So they were in the parking lot of the
Yeah.
Masonic. Is that right? Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that annual?
I don't know.
The first time you saw
I
it?
get my picture taken with a pierogi.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was good.
We'll have to check that out. Did you ever get put on a bill that was awkward, where your band was there and you were like, people booked it strange, and you were with a rock band and a blues band, and you guys, was any odd festivals you ever got put on?
We played a wedding once,
Huh?
where there was one side was bikers, and they had this heavy metal band, and the girl was Polish, and her dad thought it'd be a nice idea to have a polka band. Well, there wasn't anybody from that side of the family there, so I think we played about 20 minutes, and that was
I'll be dang, man.
Yeah.
I knew everybody seems to have one of those stories where when you play a niche music like that, like you do, sometimes you get thrown on a bill or in a booking thing where you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah, been there, done that. Everybody just looks, what are they playing?
And you're like, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. You know what I mean? But it's coming back. It's coming back. The COVID set us back a little bit, but
What's the future of Polish music? Is there something that's going to get added to this down the line that's going to take it to the next thing? I asked David from the process about that. I said, what's taking reggae to the next level? I mean, he did heavy metal reggae at one time. What's taking Polish music to the next level to make it maintain its presence?
that's a good question. I don't think it's going to be nothing new.
Just maintaining the edge of the history,
the tradition.
Tradition.
Actually, a lot of through the years, as things change, a lot of people like the Brave Combo, and some of these bands have kind of tried a whole bunch of different things, but the traditional people are still the ones that we're still busy with big crowds. 'Cause
Right.
We're still doing stuff, that they remember when they grew up. Now it's gonna last. They ain't gonna last that much longer, but they still like the traditional.
It's funny. I find a lot of my generation, looking back, my grandmas loved their Lawrence Welk and their that stuff. And I grew up in that, and of course, that was not my music. But as I've gotten older, as a musician too, mainly, your appreciation for all the music styles opens up, and you start seeing why things were as good as they were. And sometimes I think you got to put that age on before you can lock into those traditions, and appreciate them. Are you seeing a lot of the children or a lot of the younger ones come to the shows at all, or is it still mainly the old folk?
No, it's mainly, but what we're seeing now is more in their 40s are coming back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where they've gotten through the,
Had their kids and they're doing their thing.
We don't do weddings anymore,
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're just too outdated for weddings. They don't want a polka band at a wedding anymore.
It'd be really specific. If
Yeah,
it was.
they want a DJ and the bass is out, boom, boom, boom. But, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
Wow.
That's
So it's time. Time goes by and everything changes a little bit.
the only bad thing is to stay as busy as we are. If we're going to work 100 gigs a year, we got to travel. Because there ain't that many here anymore. There's not that many here in the area. All the little festivals in the thumb dried up.
What was that one 2 weeks ago we were talking about? 3 weeks ago. Did you play that?
Kinde?
Yeah.
Kinde,
Were you there?
Yeah.
We were talking about that on our last podcast, and I threw the link to Fred because he was interested in it.
Yeah, Kinde Polka Festival.
Okay. So there's one. Okay. Well, that was cool. All right.
And the band coming in from Buffalo, only one person made it across with all the restrictions and everything. So there's one person from the band.
Well, thank you, Steve, for
Steve,
coming
you're
on the
great,
show.
man. That was very interesting.
Yeah. We'll
Thank-
come back.
Oh man, I hope you come back and that you tell us some more stories. Anything you may have forgotten. Bring some new music with you next time.
Some of the stories I got you wouldn't want to put on your podcast.
We do. That's what it's about.
Right?
We want
the down and dirty stuff.
Yeah, we want when the hands drop below the waist.
Taking 3 days to get home from Posen.
3
3
days.
days to get home.
Is that a song? 3 days
No,
from
well, we
Posen?
should write that.
That's
3 days.
I'm on
I
it.
think you're on something right
Yep.
there. Okay.
I felt that as a songwriter.
Yep.
I'm like, I feel your vibe, man. Here
All
we
right.
go.
We want to hear that next time you come back.
We had a bus we rolled on. Oh God, we had this beat up bus. I tell you some stories with that. Bob Spletzer, who's he's tied in with the Browners and Frankenmuth. He was a piano player with us at the time, and he always drove the bus. And we ended up on Daytona Beach at low tide, and when we all woke up, it was high tide. And that was the end of the bus.
Oh.
You guys get out of here. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all you've done for polka music, for your interest in coming on our show, giving a little back history to our music, Michigan music scene. You're right here in the heart of the state with us, and you're always welcome, my friend.
Well, you know how it is you're playing. It's just to see that people smiling, having fun, dancing. That's a paycheck you'll never cash.
That's the truth.
You know what I mean? I get paid to haul equipment around and buy equipment.
Yeah.
I don't charge to play.
I'd say load in, load outs to pay, and the traveling. That's about it.
It's too much fun.
Yeah.
And now they're getting stickier on quitting on time. We used to play till 2:00 in the morning. Who cared?
Right.
Who cared? But oh well.
Thanks, Steve.
The MMHP is hosted on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our own Libsyn podcast site. You can also search MMHP989 on Facebook for up-to-the-minute information, as well as both Dr. J and Sir Fred's album picks of the week, posted every weekend. You can connect with Scott on the web at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and the Electric Kitsch at electrickitch.com.
This podcast wouldn't be here without special help from Studio 163's Alan Garcia, our podcast videographer and wingman, Mr. Mike Beatty, MMHP tagline specialist, Mr. Eddie Switek, and of course, Gary Johnson, Fred Rife, the Electric Kitsch, and all of our special guests, and especially you listeners. We want to thank you.
You've been listening to the MMHP and the 989. From all of us at the podcast, we want to thank you for tuning in.
Musicians are musicians. So you run with 7, 8 guys on a bus, all them different personalities. Oh, God.
That's how bands break up, you know.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
remember when I was running a label in Ann Arbor, and one of our bands, Big Dave and the Ultrasonics, we said, well, me and this other friend, we goes, I wonder if they're good, because they went way out on the West Coast, in Vancouver and Seattle, and they broke up out there because they just couldn't get along.
It's either booze, dope, or women. You know, I see booze kill a lot of good musicians.
Yeah. Well,
A lot of ruin a lot of good musicians.
plus finding out the guy you hired for the band doesn't have the same personality you expected him to have down the road. That's always a treat.
Get up in the morning 6 hours away from where you played last night. Now, how is she going to get home? What are you doing? You know what I mean?